All right, everybody, welcome to another New Whiskey Order tasting. Tonight it is Dark Side of the Dram, the second installment. We're going to be going through some fantastic Gordon Macphail, as we were just saying, easy drinking bangers tonight. That's going to be the theme of the evening. We've got 8 drams to get through. So it's going to be a bit of a marathon, but with the whiskeys we got in front of us, it's going to be pretty fantastic. So joining us tonight from Gordon and Macphail, just want to welcome Mr. James Bornn.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
You're always fun to have on these things. So
I feel like we couldn't have done it without you, to be totally honest. So we're definitely stoked you're here.
Wouldn't be the same. And of course, walking us through some whiskeys here, we've got Tim and we've got Nick. Say good evening, gentlemen.
Hey, bonjour.
Ça va, Nick?
Ça va bien?
Comme si, comme ça.
Yeah, comme si, comme ça. You know, I think the last tasting we had, I told you that for a year and a half I was dealing with bats in the basement, but the problem was solved. But it's not. As of this morning, it's not anymore. So
unreal.
Yeah, for real.
That's a milestone. You might as well drink 8 Gordon and Macphail whiskeys to celebrate.
I'm just gonna heat and blend right now and be done with it. I'm done for the day.
I hear you, bud. I definitely hear you. That's rugged.
I'm just happy to be drinking good whiskey.
There you go.
Love it.
It's what we do. All right, so let's dive in. As I say, we've got 8 delightful, delicious whiskeys to get through tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen there. Hopefully, everybody's seeing the deck.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. So for tonight, we'll be going through the whiskeys. If you're in a noisy spot, please remember to mute your microphone. If you want to jump in with questions or comments or notes, please, by all means. It's a small group we got here tonight, so we want to be nice and interactive. Let's get into it here. So as I say, tonight we're drinking whiskeys from Gordon and Macphail. We have a pretty amazing selection of distilleries tonight: Lochside, Miltonduff, Glencadam, Linkwood, Old Pultney, a mystery Speyside, and an Ardbeg to finish things off on a smoky note. We've got some interesting casks. We've already been talking about some interesting noses. So let's get right into the first one here. So right off the bat, we're going Lochside. What can you tell me, boys?
Yeah, so I mean, Lochside, I've only had a handful of Lochsides in my whiskey journey. I find them to be a light, delicate type of a distillate. I haven't had one yet that I didn't like, to be totally honest, and I think it's the perfect type of whiskey to start a tasting off like this. So this one's coming.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like on the nose, it's just like, you know, classic Scotch. What you expect from a light Scotch, it's exactly that from now. And it doesn't smell like 40%. I find most whiskeys, and I think this is not true for most Gordon Macphail's bottles, but a whiskey at 40% often gives me a bit of a chill down the spine. Not the good one, but you can smell it. It's not rough. You know, most 40% are kind of alcoholic on the nose, and this is fruity. This is fresh.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it's got that like that clean linen kind of a vibe. There's definitely oak spices in there for sure. There's I get like an umami quality on the nose too.
The fruitiness comes through to me with melons. I'm getting like honeydew and
like overripe cantaloupe.
Yeah.
It's like being southern Europe.
Yeah.
Kind of vibe, you know.
Someone just said pears. I'm get there with the oak spices. I get like a pear tart.
Yeah.
There's a little like biscuity kind of not savoriness, but like that buttery kind of of a flavor to the malt, I would assume. And it's actually it's got nice legs that are developing semi-slow, so that's an awesome sign too. For 40,
definitely.
15 years.
Well,
Anybody
the
else
nose and the palate taste dramatically older than 15 years. I think the finish does finish a little bit short and abrupt, but holy cow, like that ripeness of fruit on the front end. Like what age would you guess if you tasted this blind? Just from the nose.
I would say 18 plus. Maybe even
20 between 18 and 20.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any notes on the nose that they want to chuck in? You can always put it in the chat too if you don't want to jump in.
I'm already drinking it, but yeah, let's talk about the nose.
Yeah, the palate is thicker than what I would have expected. Way thicker.
Yeah, really nice mouthfeel on it.
Yeah.
And I get the melon, but I think, Nick, you're taking me to southern Europe, to the Mediterranean. I get the melons and prosciutto together.
Ooh.
That's where that umami's coming from.
I'm thinking there's a bit of stone fruit to it too, like a peach cobbler type of a deal on the palate.
Reminds me of the Italian dessert, like a bit creamy and the biscuit. Don't remember the name, and with a little bit of lemon on top.
Now, James, I'm assuming these older connoisseurs' choice, these are all unchill filtered, no color, right?
Well, yeah, this is a good question. Is that, there was years of those connoisseurs' choices that were all bottled at 40%, but they still were not chill filtered. So now this one doesn't seem cloudy to me, but I definitely do come across them. So yeah, even Richard, I don't know if he would know exactly kind of like what the timing is for that and when the chill filtration became common. My guess, if I was going to bet on this bottling, my guess is that it was. So especially in the 80s and 90s, I mean, if you kind of watch a lot of the stuff that was bottled at 40%, like even like there was like Port Ellens and Baroras under these bottles that were bottled at 40%. And that's because, I mean, it sounds crazy, but the enthusiasts at the time, like the people like us 30 years earlier, that actually was what people wanted.
Yeah. Drinking strength, like above 46 was not normal.
Yeah, I agree. It does drink hotter than 40. I think another thing to consider in that kind of workspace is, 30 years ago, I think too, like even these great old bottlings were kind of inexpensive. So the idea of like drinking something at full strength kind of was redundant.
I totally hear that.
Just a different time.
It's funny too. I feel like the more tasting I'm doing with it, the finish is getting longer. I don't know how that's possible, but like there's like a white pepper almost that develops like at the back of my tongue.
Spice, yeah.
A few seconds after I've swallowed.
Yeah, I was ready to get let down for the finish with James' comment, but not at all. Like it's a great opener. Great opener.
I would drink this like pretty much any day. Like if you showed up with this Lochside, I'm not turning it down.
Yeah, I think the length on the finish is more just due to the strength.
I could absolutely see that.
Water brings out some pepper and a bunch of vanilla.
I will add a little bit of context here to the distillery, and the reason is the company I work for here in Canada. It's a subsidiary of a company called Chart and Hobbs, and actually the guy that owns Chart and Hobbs now, his grandfather actually owned Lochside Distillery from, I think, for almost like 40 years.
Oh wow!
In the middle of the century, so yeah, it was Canadian owned. a guy named Joseph Hobbs. So he owned all sorts. I think he owned Brookladdy, he owned Ben Romick, and Lochside. Yeah, and then when they sold all those distilleries in the 70s, they all kind of like went totally different directions. I think what I remember about Lochside is that I think like it wasn't, a lot of distilleries obviously closed and were dismantled because they weren't great quality or whatever. But I think Lochside like actually had a good reputation, but just happened to be on like valuable land that got redeveloped.
Mm.
So it's actually like Lochside's one of like the true closed distillery tragedies.
Well, this is a heck of a nice whiskey. It's a shame they're not making more of it.
Do we know the source of many of these bottles?
These are
That's-
Russell.
Yeah, these are all Russell.
Yeah,
So God only knows.
the Russell factor.
I just imagine him with like a purple velvet bag, and he reaches in and like boom, out comes an 81 Lochside.
A couple of dudes came in a three-way trade with Mario and I.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So has everyone made their moves with this one? Are we still hanging out? Anybody have any tasting notes that they want to chuck in? We got some
good notes in the chat. AVD with lemon pepper. David with apricot, like dried or candied apricot.
I can hear that for sure.
Totally.
Tiramisu from Max. Love it.
The nose is extremely complex.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and I found like just a drop of water that really opened up the nose and brought a bunch of different stuff to the table. It's nice.
Smelling the glass after too, it's like the remnants of it. There's like a honey, like a chamomile honey quality to it. It's really pleasant.
Yeah, there's a good mix of fruity and herbal notes. Like very good balance.
Totally. I feel like if you're trying to turn someone on to whiskey that has been turned off by like getting hammered with a Lafroig 10 as their first single
or the next one. Yeah.
Right. This is a good option. Like I would.
That's why Mike used the word pleasant for the first one, because he knows what's coming shortly.
Oh wow. That next one though is pretty special.
Well, I mean, why not? Let's go back to the 60s.
Yeah. Before the
1968 Miltonduff, bottled I had to do some math here. I'd pull up the calculator, but 37 years old, that's not a young whiskey.
No. Does anyone know what this would have retailed for?
No.
Back in 2005, if I had to guess, probably like $120.
I think probably about 350.
350?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is not bad for 37 years old.
For real.
Well, that's the thing. Like, obviously I'm exaggerating, but like back then, whiskey just wasn't that expensive.
No.
But just a couple of years ago, 2018 or 2017, you could have Highland Park 30 on sale for $600, which is, I mean, sure, it's a bit expensive, 600, but it's at 2K now. 5 years later, it's like it tripled in price.
Yeah.
Almost like a house in Toronto.
So, Mike, you were just in Montreal. You know what this smells like? when you go into Schwartz.
I was just gonna say it smells like Schwartz.
Yeah, exactly the same thing.
And I know this because I spent a lot of time in Schwartz.
I feel like that there's almost like a Reuben sandwich quality.
This is highly, highly unusual.
The pork is.
But it's like unusually like also kind of delicious, like the aromas.
Yeah, I'm not put off by it at
I
all.
love it.
Yeah, it's very odd. Like I'm getting some sort of like minty floral note, maybe some star anise. Like it's a very unusual nose.
There,
Well, I got
And
the
surprisingly,
deal,
it's
and I
not
was like,
sulfury.
is this a rye?
Yeah,
This could easily be a rye smelling it.
Totally.
Like, if somebody gave this to me blind, I'd be like, okay, this is Millstone. This is clearly Millstone.
That's what I was thinking. That's the distillery that I was trying to remember earlier.
Yeah. This is like the 20-year-old Millstone PX.
Yes, that is exactly the expression I couldn't put my finger on it earlier, but
you know, it's like the bottle turned bad, but turned out to be awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh shit, it's like all bad now. You know, I don't know, but damn.
Well, the 15 years in bottle might have settled this one down a little bit. Like this one might have been a little funky at
initially,
at release.
I feel like it's getting mellower too as I nose it. Like there's some fruitiness coming out, like a plum, like a plum maybe.
Well,
Yeah,
when I first poured this, when we were getting ready to launch the event, it was all dill all the time. I was like, what the F is this? But yeah, it's settled down in the glass significantly. There's a lot of fruit that's come out, nice dark fruit, currants, plum. I get some nice Turkish delight in there.
Yes.
Yeah, a bit of spices. Yeah.
And like, I mean, the herbs are still there. That funkiness is still there. But it's like really nice. Like I like it.
My wife was amazing. I worked until like 7:15, so she put these in glasses at 7. So they've been hanging out for about an hour. And as soon as I walked in the house, I smelt something odd, and it was definitely this one. But I mean, it's like it's just taken a full journey. I haven't even tasted it yet. Are we at the tasting zone?
Yeah.
All right. So where are we at here?
It's very meaty. It's chewy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
David Chevalier said after 8 cookies.
The nosing was, but my nose is kind of compromised.
Is that a Canadian bakery brand?
No, those are cheap chocolate mint cookies.
Oh, okay. I know the ones you're talking about. Yeah. There is a mint. There's like a spearmint kind of a note to it.
The palate is really different from the nose.
Oh, totally. Yeah. It's actually quite clean.
It's very clean. I'm getting like bananas and papaya on the palate.
Good.
I'm so curious.
I get kind of the initial hit of fruit, and then for me, it actually kind of tapers more back toward where we began on the nose and the finish. Like I feel like that spice and the mint and everything kind of comes back.
I'm with you. I'm there too. Cardamom. Adam just chucked cardamom in there. I totally agree with that. There like for 40%. Talk about mouthfeel. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you're driving for hours and you have like the thick meat you chew on for hours.
Yeah, like a beef jerky kind of a.
Yeah. This is a roller coaster of a whiskey.
It's really interesting.
Is anyone getting like caramel twist ice cream?
Nice.
It's only on the palate though.
Yeah. I'm fully with you there. The legs are so slow too. This one is. I love whiskeys like this.
This is just like an absolute weirdo.
Yeah, full on bizarro world. Dry marker.
You can almost picture in the warehouse, like they probably followed this for a while, and eventually they were just like, you know what? It's not doing anything else. Let's just send it out.
I put a drop of water in there, and now the nose is very sweet, like strawberries and those like kids eraser.
Yep. Someone said old dry marker dust in the chat.
Yeah, can we clarify what is that note / what are we referring to there?
I mean, it's like, to me, there's like the old dry marker dust would be like an astringency, like a slight chemical note, but there's like an odd sweetness to it too. I have to get a little bit. I didn't put any water out for this, and I feel like I'm not, like Myke just gave strawberries, and
You're spot on, Myke, man. You added 2 drops of water, strawberries and cream, man.
yeah, I got
It just opens up, gets really sweet on the nose. A lot of that, I'm
It's almost like bubblegum and strawberry.
even like Big League Chew.
Yeah, 100%. This whiskey's crazy. It's like a chameleon. Wow.
Yeah, this is nuts.
Oh yeah, it's
Each
like the
sip
bazooka gun.
is quite different than the first one. It's evaluating.
So James, this bottling is not like a connoisseur's choice or a distillery label or anything that I could really figure out.
Well, it is a distillery label.
distillery
surprisingly, but they
label,
didn't
okay.
used to advertise that. So yeah, especially you think to this time, like even Glen Grant and Glenlivet and even like Macallan probably, well, maybe not in 68, but like a lot of these bottlings, if you were finding the single malt version of a lot of these distilleries, like they were coming from Gordon Macphail. That was just kind of how it worked. So what they would do is the distilleries would kind of produce their own labels and send them along with the casks when they would go back to Gordon Macphail for bottling. So that was just kind of how the rules work. So that's why you would see like all these, unique, funky labels for each individual bottle. And this was the Miltonduff one. So I think there's about 40 years worth of bottlings that look like this from Miltonduff. But they don't do the Miltonduffs anymore, which I'm not really totally sure why that is. But yeah, eventually they morphed it and they actually like put all these kind of in a range that they call the distillery labels, right? But my guess is that when this was bottled, they still hadn't really started doing that officially.
No, it's interesting. So the distillery sent the labels along with the casks for bottling.
Yeah.
So in this case, like, did Gordon Macphail own this cask, or did Gordon Macphail just bottle it for Milton?
They would have owned the cask and the distillate inside right from day one.
Okay.
That's cool. Good to know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the reasoning for that, of course, historically was just to control the quality. So, initially, I think they were doing that just for the sake of storage. And then, as the distillery started to curate their single malt better, it just became kind of the cycle of how they worked. So, yeah, some of the distilleries, Myke, too, would have had kind of like a range of different kind of rules. Like, as an example now, like they're still obviously doing distillery label Macallan, but it doesn't say distillery label on it, right? Like, I think some of these distilleries, they like kind of like strike deals with, and yeah, so they're all a little bit different.
Interesting.
We got to
eventually the whiskey gets in a bottle and then we get to buy it. So that's the important part.
We got to really.
Yeah, there's a lot of Miltonduff in the cellars that belongs to Gordon Macphail still. I think that's one of their like biggest fills every year.
Well, I would like more like this.
Seriously.
Yeah, definitely, man. Wow.
Yeah.
Send me more.
We actually,
we'll buy.
We requested. I know one of the retailers in Alberta has been begging for a Miltonduff cask for years, but they don't really work that way. They don't like take requests. It's just they identify stuff blind in the lab that they think is ready to bottle, and then some goes to Europe, some goes to North America, and I just get a list. So there just hasn't been a Miltonduff the last 3 years.
Huh.
But sooner or later, there's got to be one that shows up.
Well, if it's even half as weird as this one, I'm all over that.
I'm fully down too. I'll have to come up to Hamilton, yeah, and
Yep.
steal one from Myke. There was a great note in here that I 1,000,000% agree with. David said there's a taste and sweetness heading towards maple water, and I can say for sure.
Yeah.
There's
Love
like
that.
I have a friend that has a sugar house up in the JP area, like Newport, right near the border of Canada, in Vermont, and I've absolutely had like that just right off the tap maple water. Lovely. And you were right, Myke, with a little bit of water, it's like a strawberry shortcake.
Yeah, it gets really sweet, turns into a dessert whiskey.
Wow.
Changes completely.
I would like to ask if I was doing a blind tasting with you guys, would you guess it's at 37 years old?
Nope.
No.
No,
No.
definitely
Too
not.
powerful for me.
Yeah.
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 I would think sub 20.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, me too. 15, 18, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much depth and complexity to it,
Mhm.
but it doesn't have that delicateness that you would expect from something with this vintage. It's
Yeah. I don't know what cask to use to age it, but I mean, it could be like a 5th or 6th fill because I don't see any real influence of the wood for 37 years old.
This
It
this
seems to
almost
be
certainly.
altered.
There's never been a Gordon Macphail that was more than second fill.
Wow.
Well,
that's wild.
But what I do
Great.
think this is an American oak sherry butt. So like a large, probably even potentially a double wall,
Wow,
like double thickness.
yeah.
that's pretty cool. I can
Mhm.
see that. What a special one.
Yeah.
Cheers to Russell on this selection.
Yeah, that was a beaut. And JP, as we were saying before, like tasting this blind, if I was tasting this blind, I would have guessed it's a rye. I wouldn't even have guessed it's a Scotch.
Yeah, definitely.
With a little water, it does Scotch itself up a little bit. It loses some of that herbaceousness, but what a very cool whiskey. James, a note in the chat: did they use Pax? So Pax Arret in something like this?
Yeah, it's a good question. To me, this does not have the notes that I typically expect in Pax Red. I don't think Gordon Macphail ever needed Pax Red because of their cask program. Like that's usually something for people that don't know. Basically, you take like this really, really sweet and concentrated old sherry, essentially, and you would put steam in a barrel to open the pores, and you'd pour this dessert wine in, and it would like soak back into the wood. And they absolutely should allow it again. But the sherry producers like obviously don't want that to happen because it's such a cash cow to have new sherry casks. But yeah, if they allowed Pax Arret, to be honest, when we worked with Shelter Point, I tried to convince Shelter Point to Pax Arret their cask because I said it's delicious. Like if you do it properly, like it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
But I don't think there would be Pax in this. I mean, can I confirm that? 100% no, but that just that wouldn't really make sense for Gordon Macphail, I don't think. If you've ever had an old Glendronach or old Glenfarclas, it's Pax City, right? But
so you're saying that it's like a testament to the cask, like
I don't think would have needed it. Yeah, usually Pax Red is like when you get a really old tired cask and it's a way to like liven it back up. And they've just never bottled that way.
Got it. Yeah, that was a beaut.
That's I think that's one of the weirdest whiskeys I've had in any of our tastings, and I say that in the absolute best possible way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, now let's keep things going here. Let's keep things on this is one of the more traditional distillery labels with the Linkwood here. So this one is so the first one up is the older bottling. So this is 70s distillate.
And there is a marked difference to the nose between the two.
Oh, yes.
These, by the way, are pretty affordable at auction.
I get like an old leather suitcase on the nose.
Yeah. This is not the Linkwood we get now.
And maybe like sunrise papaya.
I get dried tobacco.
There is definitely tobacco on there for sure. Like a really light leaf.
It's funny because, you know, for the Lochside, we said, oh, this is a classic Scotch, what you expect. But I think this is the other version. Like you can imagine like someone from Mad Men in the 60s, 70s sitting on in a dark room in a leather chair. Like there's just smoke everywhere and some like overdressed woman drinking martinis.
I hear you. Does anyone get a sour note?
Yeah, kind of. But sour from fruits, not from from candies.
For sure, yeah. It's a fruit sourness. Like kumquat, is that a weird one?
Mm.
I get kind of an interesting vegetable note. I'm trying to identify it.
Tomatoes are fruit, Mike, just saying.
Poor Lise.
There's definitely a vegetal note to it. It's almost like a sweetgrass.
Right, like the vodka with the
the bison grass. Yeah, bison grass for sure.
Mm.
That's a great recognition.
It's definitely more subtle than the first two.
For sure. I don't know. There's no cask information, but there's like I'm feeling like there's a sherry quality to it.
This would most likely be 100% refill sherry.
Interesting.
So like second fill.
Okay, yeah, I totally could see that. There's an at the very back of the nose, like a light breathing in through the nose. I get almost like a cherry cordial.
You know what? The palate is exactly what I expected from the nose, but the finish is like on the opposite side completely.
We got the man coming through. Russell, sorry to put you on the spot. Do you remember tasting the previous whiskey, the Miltonduff?
I don't think I tried that one. The only one I actually tried was the Speyside.
Okay.
Which was bonkers.
Don't spoil it.
Oh, sorry. They're all terrible.
Do you have any left of the Miltonduff?
Well, yeah, I got a few kits. It didn't really sell out, so I got a few kits. So
yeah, make sure you spend some time with that one. It's
the Milton, okay?
Yeah.
wild. Like kudos to you on that choice.
Yeah.
It's insane.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thumbs up.
I think, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong. Is that one of the ones that you helped me out with getting? Or is that, I know you helped me with the Old Pultney.
Yeah, the Miltonduff and this Linkwood.
Thick.
That's right, yeah. Joe's the man.
Well
I gave him
done.
a budget and said, help us out.
The
Good work.
There's
Well played, Joe. Well
Thank
played.
you.
Yeah, seriously, thank you a million times over. That one was really special. Russell said celery. There's more celery. We also have cucumber, which I agree with totally. Lemon and celery garnish in a Caesar. Is that a bloody Caesar or a Caesar salad? That's my question.
Up here in Canada, Caesar's a drink.
I know. That's why I'm saying I love a Caesar.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say that in New Jersey, you're going to get some anchovy paste and a salad.
Dude, what is the Caesar in Canada? I'm sorry. Fill me on that, please.
Oh my God, Reggie, I'm going to have to do this. When we link up, I'm going to make you a bloody Caesar. Actually, I should let the Canadians explain.
So
Let the Canadians-
it's a mixed drink, tomato based. But up here in Canada, we get tomato juice and we also get clamato juice. So it's tomato juice with clam nectar in it. And you might think to yourself, that sounds fucking terrible. But you know what? You'd be wrong because it's delicious.
Like
Yeah.
actually from
Why?
clams? Like it's
It
actually
should
clam
be.
juice, like from clams?
But yeah,
Yeah.
they just take some clams and fucking squeeze them into the tomato vat, and there you go. Does
Reggie,
it sound
they
like
do-
it should be good? No, it does not. Is it good? Yes.
It's delicious. Like it
Yeah.
ruined regular Bloody Marys for
You're
me.
shaking your head, Colin.
To be fair, I don't like Bloody Marys either.
Okay, fair enough. Fair
All
enough.
right.
We'll let him go from this one. But yeah, to make a Caesar, it's vodka, clamato juice, and some spices. So usually Tabasco and some Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah, it sounds like a Bloody Mary. Yeah, gotcha. Cool. That's
But
funny.
Mike.
it is superior in my
I-
opinion. As an American, I will say unequivocally that is the better of the two.
Is it a
I guess I
Canadian
know
drink?
the answer, but have you ever had a mezcal Bloody Caesar?
No,
But I'm gonna make one this weekend now.
It's like
I've had a
smoked- it's
tequila
smokery.
Caesar, but never a
Yeah.
mezcal Caesar.
Oh,
That
it's
sounds
super. It's
lovely.
extra good. Extra,
Yeah,
extra
use
better.
Chipotle hot sauce and not regular hot sauce.
Good.
Smoky.
Put these Caesar recommendations in the notes so that I can screenshot it and
Russell, I think we got our next event coming together here, buddy.
Yes, see. It'll be Sunday at 9 a.m.
Yep.
exactly. Send out Caesar sample like
New whiskey order brunch.
that's a great idea, honestly.
I am fully on board with that. Like
Me too.
absolutely.
Sunday morning.
It's so funny.
Yeah, my
Alright, let's
wife
do it
might
quick.
be less on board, to be
Yeah.
honest, but I'm on board.
Oh, that's funny.
So back to this Linkwood. Yum.
No
Again,
off-notes.
like we said it earlier, easy drinking bangers. I don't think you could sum this whiskey up any better.
I get
No.
like a little bit of like an ashiness to it at the front of the palate. Not peat whatsoever. I'm talking like almost like a tobacco ash.
But
This
between
will be-
this and the first one, I could just alternate like day 1, day 2, day 3, and just drink that.
Yeah,
all
daily
week long.
drinkers. That was I was going to say. It's like it will go down very, very fast.
Cool.
Well,
So I
if
put a
you
drop
ask
of
someone
water
who
in
in
mine.
Macphail, what's like the daily drinker in the entire lineup historically, for sure it's Linkwood 15.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, for years this is probably one of the things they've like. It's just so consistent,
I hear that.
and
Yeah.
they always make a decent amount.
What's the
So with a drop of water, some interesting stuff happens to this one. First, on the nose, I get confection sugar. Almost, and that's a note I generally associate with Springbank, that kind of confectionery sugar. But on the palate, specifically towards the finish, there's this really nice salinity that comes out,
yeah.
like almost Old Pultney-esque,
Mm.
Yeah.
which is very interesting.
Good call. Wow.
you've got the saltiness of the Pultney too, for sure.
Definitely. There's like a coastal quality for
Mm.
sure.
Mm,
I love that even in this old bottling, like to me, Linkwood has one very defining characteristic, which is like a fizzy, sherbety citrus note on the finish. And this 100% has that, which I absolutely love. Like it's just every single Linkwood, even if it's like really, really heavily sherried, doesn't matter what oak, it just always has that quality on the finish.
Yeah, that's what I like about Linkwood. You know, it's it impregnates very well the sherry casks. You can really have like sherry bomb or sherry bomb Linkwoods, but it still has like you still has the DNA, which is not like you know the Whiskey Explorer Diluane. It's very good. I like it, but you know, it's just like it's sherry. It's sherry. It could be whatever distillery. You don't know. But Linkwood, you always get the Linkwood DNA through the gas management.
Right, like that Diluane on the finish almost has like a buttery, kind of like broad, kind of fat finish that like
Yeah.
kind of sticks to your palate. Whereas this, like as you swallow, it kind of goes like zing and it like finishes clean.
Yeah.
And Linkwood always does that. Even like again, even like really heavily sherried. I don't know if anyone had the Chateau Louis. Like it's pretty heavily drenched in sherry at 20 years old. But the finish just kind of goes like zing and just has this like mandarin orange citrus note on the finish.
I haven't had that, but it sounds delicious. That one was, there's no off notes there from my perspective. It's just gravy.
Yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on the auctions.
Tell me when you bid, Mike, so we're not against each other.
Yeah, I got you.
From what I
now-
see, Linkwood is always underrated. It's like, oh, it's a Linkwood. It doesn't go very fast off the shelf. But when you taste them, it's amazing. I don't know why it's not that much appreciated in the, well, from what I see on my side, but
The Linkwoods that we get offered in Canada from Gordon Macphail too, they're always actually like in the lowest price tier. Like
Amazing.
always.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite true. I did purchase 47 years old not far ago from Gordon Macphail, and it was priced kind of. I was not kind of planning to purchase that, but then when I saw the price, I fired on it, and that's it. So yeah, they're priced kind of to buy them.
And so drinkable. I mean, you gotta go for it.
Yeah,
So what
Ricardo's
about,
right. Actually, they have a single cask 30-year Linkwood. It's unbelievable. It's really, it's much more like full-bodied and kind of authoritative. But same thing, the finish just goes like zing, has a little citrusy note on the finish. It's great.
Which
What's
line
the
is that
price?
one, James?
It's Connoisseur's Choice.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a 91 to 2022.
Yeah, Ricardo actually just put that in the
Yeah.
chat. Everyone should try the
Okay. Yeah, I should have the chat open actually.
What's the price like on that one?
Probably not as the same as the Linkwood 15.
So down in the States, it's $95 basically.
I think they give you $95, right?
Oh, okay, that's fair. Ricardo coming through with the link in the
Wow.
chat, everybody.
Ooh, on sale.
Just in time for the holidays.
so that goes with the same idea that it's underrated. How can you sell, say, this kind of bottle at this price? And they don't do a Glenfarclas 15 Amant or 21 years old. They don't bottle 15,000 or 50,000 bottles, but they sell them at pretty fair price. So
I feel like Linkwood kind of it's a really good point that you make. It kind of it occupies this space almost the way like Kleinleash was like 10 years ago, where it was like you could only get it from Indies unless you like went to the UK and got the 14. And it was kind of this like bartender's handshake type of malt. And like, there's not many of those left. But Linkwood, I feel like, is still kind of like that.
I've been sleeping on Linkwood. I'm not gonna lie. I'm blown away with this. And even I'm nosing the 2015 bottling.
It's
Even
very different on the nose. Very, very
Totally.
different.
Totally different, but still really, really pleasing.
I get a very in between vibe between the Lochside and the previous Linkwood. Like very matured, but yet on the lighter side.
Yeah, I get more like traditional sherry notes on this than the previous.
I get a lot of citrus on this one. Citrus, vanilla. I get
kind of
that that sort of, you know, when you're making an old fashioned and you twist your orange rind and the orange oil comes out. That's what I get.
Yeah.
I'm with you with a touch of the maraschino cherry too.
Mm-hmm.
Can you come back to the slide just before, please? Okay, so we don't know the cask of this one.
Correct.
These would both be probably 100% refill sherry hogsheads and butts.
Okay, and
There would
it
be
was
very
a
little first fill.
Linkwood. Okay, and a Linkwood bottling, not a independent bottler.
They're Gordon and
If I'm
Macphail.
right. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, this is part of
Oh,
the
yeah.
Bornn and Macphail. This is the distillery bottling, right, James?
That's correct. Yeah, I mean, this really is as close to an official bottling of Linkwood as you'll find. I mean, Ricardo, I see now that I have the chat open. There is or was a 37-year-old Linkwood, probably maybe around the same time, probably around 2015.
I think I remember that one. That came in like a big wood box and stuff, right?
Yeah, it was. I believe that you're right. I believe it was 1978. I think it was 2015 or 2016. It was bottled. But yeah, that's when you could find a ton of Diageo releases around kind of that 30 to 35-year-old range, just like all over the place. For like peanuts now, they're impossible to find. But yeah.
Does Linkwood typically do refill sherry, or is it just a Gordon Macphail portion of the Linkwood?
No, it's very much a Gordon Macphail thing.
Right.
I think like most Linkwood is going into, like, it's the main ingredient in Johnny Walker Gold Label. So I think quite a lot of it is going into refill hogsheads, which again, like the reason blenders like Linkwood is because it gives that lift on the finish. Like so if you have, you know, it kind of is deceptive on the finish in a blend because it gives that kind of like that little zip. But Gordon Macphail's always done sherry predominantly for Linkwood. It's one of those weird distilleries like Highland Park that kind of can do both.
Right.
But the single malts tend to be sherry driven. All the single casks we've had have all been sherry as well.
Interesting.
It's so different from the last one.
Yeah, very different palate.
Yeah.
Getting like the chocolate orange.
Makes me think, you know, we could have like a blind tasting of Linkwood 15-year-old from like the 70s to today. And try to guess the era it was distilled.
Well, the 2023 bottling would be even totally different than this because it's 46% too.
Ooh. There's on the finish, to me, I would never guess this was 43%. I would think closer to 50.
46, 48, yeah, for sure.
The finish is much longer.
Yeah, finish is long. The palate's really different from the last one. This one, for me, I'm getting like Werther's candies, like Werther's caramels and Macintosh toffee bars.
I get a sulfur. I get a bit of sulfur once it's all settled down.
Really?
Yeah. Almost like not heated, but after smoke, you know?
Well, Tim, aren't you the sulfur master in here?
Yeah, I mean, typically that just like blasts. It's like a punch in the face for me. I'm trying to get deeper on the nose. Did you put any water in that, Nick?
Yeah, once I've put water, yeah,
that's
sorry,
what-
once I've put water in it, it's I wouldn't say peated because it's not, but kind of when you have a glass from yesterday that whole peated
Yep.
whiskey, and there was like a tiny little drop left,
Sure.
and really once you've swallowed and like the finish is gone. I kind of have a
I definitely find that like if there is any sulfur note, if I put water in it, it magnifies it. So I just chucked a little in there. It's the
Yeah, I find the water like really sweetens it up.
definitely.
It brings out the salinity again, like the previous one.
I feel like
And-
go ahead. Sorry, Mike.
I was gonna say it thickens the mouthfeel quite a lot too.
I was gonna say even on the nose, it made it more potent to me. I don't know if I'm picking up sulfur though. It's definitely not like a burnt rubber sulfur.
no, but not. I think I was a bit off with sulfur, but just I don't know how to say it, but kind of like if someone smoked and the next day you get in the car, you know, it's a bit dry, it's a bit, you still have a bit of that smokiness.
That like hazy kind of.
Yeah.
I get a little bit like you just lit a match, like that instant sulfur, but then it goes into like very delicate.
Yeah, so exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, for sure. Only with the water though.
I don't get it at all like it's from like the cask, like from the candle. Does anybody know if Linkwood has condensers or worm tubs?
I don't think they're worm
I think it's condensers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if there's like something there within the distillate that's giving it that vibe.
You know what?
'Cause-
Now that I'm tasting it with the water, I didn't get it on the nose, but there is definitely some struck match on the palate. It wasn't until the water though. I'm not put off by it though. It's kind of like a really mellow, integrated.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like it must be really integrated because I'm also very sensitive to sulfur, but I actually like it. I'm weird that way.
That's fair.
I didn't pick any up at all, even with a drop of water. So I mean, it's deeply integrated in like right into the DNA of the whiskey.
I'm such an influencer. That's it.
I think sometimes malts that have a naturally earthy quality to them, like that Miltonduff would have been a good example. Like a touch of sulfur in that Miltonduff, I feel like wouldn't take away. A lot of Glendronics, I always thought that way too. Like they're kind of like naturally a little muddy. A little sulfur isn't always the worst.
Russell coming through in the chat with
Just for fun, everybody go back and smell your Miltonduff glass.
Oh, I put water in mine. I blew it.
Mistakes were made.
I do. I mean, there is a tiny bit left in my sample though. Oh,
The empty glass.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
A strawberry cake.
The empty glass just smells like a French bakery.
Yeah.
That's
Smell your
amazing.
sample bottle.
This should be cologne.
It's the dill is back.
Wow.
Yeah, we could make Miltonduff cologne. 60% of the time, it'll work every time.
It changes throughout the day. You take a shower, it changes.
Yeah, the dill's definitely still like so. I only drank half my sample. The dill's definitely still in the bottle.
The dill is heavy duty in the bottle.
The dill is back would make a great tasting for NWO.
Yeah,
Like
t-shirt.
all dill bottles.
NWO t-shirt. The dough is back.
Keep it going on the swag.
Well, Brooke Lottie did that the salted herring cask, the fishkey, a couple of years ago. We should do a dill cask, like fill an American standard cask with pickle juice, leave it there for a while, then chuck some old Miltonduff in it and see if
Anybody got a connection at Bix?
Colin's already on it.
yes, let's go.
The gears are turning already. He's going down to the basement right now.
Russell, you
But
were on the chat.
just before you switch to the Glencadam, I would like to ask, between the two 15 years old we just taste, which one was your favorite?
1970s, just because for me, it's a perfect whiskey.
Mike, that's great. I'm going to throw out there, I actually think that this is a classic example of bottle conditioning. I legitimately think these would have tasted a lot more similar, like
Initially.
straight out of the gate.
Okay. Well,
I would go with the older one. I love the leather. The leather and tobacco just kills it. I love it. I drink them both, but they're great.
Yeah, I think our vote here was for the 2015.
I'll go with that too.
I think they're so different.
Yeah.
I'd be pulling them with different moods, with different company, different experience. So I would want both on my shelf, honestly.
It is. Yeah.
I love a comparison.
I'm greedy like that.
I love a comparison. So give them both. There's nothing better to me than being able to do that side by side.
This is the point here. We have a side by side for like almost 45 years old, different in the bottling or the bottle. So you cannot determine which of the two are the best. But since it's side by side, you will have gave me another, like I was saying, in a blind tasting, those bottles for me will have been amazing, and I wouldn't have said it's Linkwood for the two of them. Sorry, Linkwood.
No, I totally hear you. I'm converted. Like this is. I've been sleeping on Linkwood for sure.
But it's funny because I think the newer 15 is a better daily drinker, like daily banker drinker. But the older release is what I would get out at the end of a night with my college friends to brag. Like, yeah, I drink Scotch, man. Like, this is what I fucking drink. And it's like leather, tobacco, and fuck it. Just like, yeah, you suck. I'm awesome. Let's leave it like that.
The flex.
Well, that could be any drink.
Show off.
That's funny.
All right. Mike, you're muted, buddy.
Nobody wants to talk to me anyway. All right, let's move on. We got Glencadam happening next. This one, 22 years old, bottled in 2015. We're up to 46%. I think this is the highest ABV we've experienced all night.
Whoa, watch out, everybody.
This is going to braid Tim's beard.
It's going to straighten it, actually.
This is interesting because for me, it's really what Glencadam is on the nose. Every single Glencadam I've nosed smells exactly like that. Extra fruity, bit of wax, kind of a straightforward orchard fruit. They all smell the same for me. And it's not bad. It's very consistent, but kind of vanilla bean.
Yeah.
Very classy.
I definitely get the waxiness. It's like somebody took some crayons and colored an apple.
Yeah, I hear that and a half. I get a little bit of paraffin too, even. But how about like rock candy?
Mm,
It's interesting. Like it doesn't nose hot.
No, not like no hotness whatsoever.
No.
Like
I'm not smelling this and going, whoa, there's that ABV. I'm not getting that at all. Like this is super chill, super mellow.
very fresh.
You can drop your nose all the way in, take a big huff.
Mm.
No burn whatsoever. It's really pleasant on the. I mean, hats off to Gordon and Macphail. The cask management is definitely noticeable in all of these. I get a little bit of like a slightly torched marshmallow.
Mm.
The fruit's like a mandarin orange.
Yeah, it's not very acidic.
No, definitely not. There's citrus there, but it's on the really sweet side.
Yeah.
A little bit of the oak spices like wafting through. This is really, really pleasant.
The palate is quite different.
Palate's got some really nice spiciness to it.
Yes.
And
Very,
not like,
very.
not like big heat, but like you're like, okay, yeah, there's the oak.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow. And a major evolution too.
But not at all astringent. It's not drying. There's no sharpness. It's just
my mouth is watering from it. Like,
Yeah. I want more.
yeah, really clean, really classic.
I get
Yeah,
like.
and
Go ahead, Nick.
no, go. I'm on the finish, so go ahead.
I was gonna say I get like almost like a granola with semi-sweet chocolate on the palate.
Mm. Yeah. And for me, the finish just doesn't go down. It stays in the mouth, and it's all flavorful in the mouth. It like there's zero burn, there's zero hotness. Like anyone saying, "Oh, I drink scotch and it kind of burns," give them that, and there's no burn at all.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. There is no end to the. It's still. I took a drink like more than almost a minute ago, and it is still carrying.
Yeah, that's down.
Wow.
Russell, you sure you want me to go on a rant about the end of the independent bottling?
Yes, go on, please.
Yeah, go
Okay.
on.
So there's a few key notes. Number one, they still did all their independent bottling this year, so like they would have filled Glencadam casks this year, 2023s. So I think for those of us on the call today, unless there's any teenagers here, like it's just not going to affect us in our lifetime.
Right.
Not really. But as for the motivation, I think like the main thing to think of is why Gordon Macphail started doing this and why they were successful at it in the first place. They were basically filling a gap that no one else was doing, right? Like they were providing all this variety of single malt. I mean, originally in a world where no one was bottling single malt. And then as everyone else started making single malt, they were providing single malts that were an alternative to like the main stuff.
Sure.
Well, I think that's quickly becoming redundant. I really do. And they believe that as well. And what I mean by that is, a lot of the established distilleries have much more vast ranges than they used to. And number two, there's so much new stuff coming online.
Yeah.
So, and most of it's good quality.
Right.
So, this begs the question: is do we need independent bottled Glencadam when, a year from now or like 10 years from now, there could be like 5 special edition Annandales being sold in the market? Like, so that's what they didn't have to contend with. Yeah, the other thing is like their distilleries now are both going full tilt. I think they just kind of felt too like they didn't want to kind of like double the amount of whiskey they were making.
I totally hear that.
So, and I think the final reason is that they, I think, legitimately believe that they were going to start getting cut off of stuff that like is kind of core to their business, like the Mortlock, Kalila, Linkwoods. I think they felt like they were going to get a call pretty quick.
So get ahead of it type of a move.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes total business sense. And if you look at the flow of single malt versus blends versus ABV vattings rather than single casks, like there's definitely a flux that's developed over the last 80 years. So that to me, from a business standpoint, that makes a ton of sense. Like, be the one to set the tone, and with single casks being so expensive right now, to me, it's really forward thinking.
And I don't think the market's gonna crash like it has before, just because you have every year new parts of countries that have huge economical boom, and either cognac, French wine, and whiskey are seen as the drink you should be drinking when you're successful and you start making money and all. So it's China, India, Indonesia, every country, every big country, Africa. You see more and more people in Africa drinking whiskey, French wines, Italian wines, everything that's like seen as a luxury. So even if in Canada and the United States, UK, France, the market kind of goes down a lot, like you can rely on other countries now for all those distilleries that will put out like 6 Ardbeg community release every month. So
it won't go down. It will stay at a certain level, but from what we learn from history, it goes up, it goes down a little, something else like brandy, cognac, I don't know, will expand, and then it's gonna go down and whiskey gonna came back, and it's a roller coaster. If you look worldwide.
Yep.
So right now, I think we are pretty much at the peak of what whiskey and Scotch and bourbon can offer, and they still open distilleries everywhere in the world. There's still a lot of money to do there, but it will not go high as the last, I say, 4 or 5 years we just passed. I don't think so.
With you on
No,
that.
for sure. So James, I have this project to grab 1 bottle a year, bottle as close as possible as April 22, and you provided me with the Linkwood. Well, you had me with the Linkwood 20 years old from Châteauguay. You pointed me out, and Travis Watt grabbed me a bottle. Do you think it's possible I grab a bottle of G&M up until 2040?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yep. Yeah,
so G&M can do whatever they want.
Mortlock, like they, they're when they bottle or when they cast them, they have casts like specifically tagged for like the 15 for the 25. Yeah.
Okay.
So no rush.
But I mean, you got to think like all the casks you currently have in storage. You could start bottling that at full speed for your bottling lines, it would take years.
I think they have about, in the independent segment of their business, they have about 50,000 casks right now.
Yeah, you're not getting that to market this year.
No.
I mean,
Yeah,
just
500 of those are Macallans.
and I mean, nobody's going to ever drink that stuff anyway, so it's
No.
fun. But
Exactly, yeah. Those tasting notes will come out in 50 years, maybe.
so
Right, are we
speaking of
officially on the
tasting notes,
Pultney?
who wants to drink some very Old Pultney?
Yeah, let's go. 30.
So I was a little upset when Russ included this one in the tasting because I love Old Pultney. I also love that not a lot of people know about Old Pultney. So you can often acquire really good Old Pultney without losing an arm and a leg.
It is true, Mike.
Mike, let's be honest. It's just Old Pultney is just subpar Talisker.
Talisker, they forgot to peat. So I'm very
They
excited.
are another distillery really underrated. For the last 4, 5, 6 years, Old Pultney was like nothing. It's like sorry for those who like Old Pultney, but they were always on the shelf, not selling, even if they were like everybody now is looking for the 17 because it's amazing and but they were cheap. They're
I
good.
always like the OP12. I thought it was great. Great whiskey, easy to drink.
Absolutely.
But like some of those IBs out there, like I had a gorgeous Old Pultney Connoisseur's Choice cask strength out of Alberta from last year. It was so good.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. Old Pultney, it is a sleeper. No one here talk about it outside of the group because the distillate is fantastic too.
We had a 38-year-old Pultney in the market the last 2 or 3 years. It's probably almost sold out now. Ricardo's going to jump in, but
they're like the first band of a big show, you know. Nobody knows them, but when you heard them, it's like, oh, that was good. Yeah, okay, I'll remember them.
Oh, I see that David is gonna show off a bit. Yeah. Wow. So is it just me or this Old Pultney is extra youthful?
It's just punchy.
Yeah, I agree. I would not have guessed 38 right up front.
No, really, really deep. The nose is just, I got like sultanas, a really dark honey, like Manuka.
Yeah. But there's a bit of this bream though.
Yeah, I hear that
Brine.
too. I'm you know what? I'm retracting the Manuka honey. I'm gonna say like apricots soaked in honey. There's a really pleasant sweetness from the malt too.
Do we
that
know how
subtle
many
brine note
bottles?
is just so appetizing.
Do we know how many bottles came out of this batch?
I don't believe so.
No.
No.
I'll see if I can find that information.
In
This is something,
2008, it was
these
not
types of
something that
bottlings
was-
were done very regularly.
Okay.
That's crazy to me because this is very.
I don't know if we can relate to the recent one that I have here, but this was a 99 bottle around the 2021.
I don't expect 600 or 700 bottles, even at 43%. 38 years old. Well,
If I just had to guess based on similar bottlings, I would guess there was maybe 1,500 bottles maximum, but probably between 700 and 1,500 is realistic.
The note. Does anyone eat like honeycomb, like the honeycomb?
Yeah.
Honey.
yeah.
Oh,
It's funny because I feel like the nose is very punchy, youthful, like it has fun. It's still deep, you still get a lot of flavors from older whiskeys, but the palate and the finish are very matured compared to the nose.
I haven't gotten to the palate yet. I could live in this nose.
But thanks for the walk into memory lane, Tim. In regards of the honeycomb, that's right.
I have a friend that has an apiary, and she'll send me like chunks every once in a while. And I'm a musician, I'm a singer, so if I'm approaching a gig and something's funky with my throat, I just start teaspooning the chunks of the honeycomb. It's a secret though, don't tell anybody. You're right though, the nose and the palate are definitely, there's some disparity there. There's like almost like a citric quality to the development of the palate that I didn't pick up on the nose at all. I don't want to say drying, but
You could say it. It's not far from dry.
it's right in that zone though.
Yeah.
But it's very coastal. It's very much like there's a lot of wind.
Yeah,
There's a lot of wind. You're on the shore, so it's not like cold or hot. It's just like, the air flows and all.
just as you said that, in my head I was thinking like a really really mild oyster with a mignonette.
But it's not as salty as, maybe it's because we had the Linkwood before.
For sure. And going back to the nose now too, I definitely get coastal quality to the old shells.
It's like you're on a beach where there's no sand. It's all rocks, all shells. It's extra windy. There's nothing in the background. Talisker, it's still very green behind the distillery. There's a bit of mountains and all. Like this is just plain out flatlands. Galets in French, we say galets, like the little rocks.
Yeah.
So there's just nothing.
There's
when you're at the end of the pier, and you just have the wind and
there's that like river stone, like the like knocking to kind of minerality to it also. This is wild.
Oh yeah. Okay, Myke, I retract what I was saying. Old Pultney is not just subpar Talisker.
Keep telling everybody. It's just subpar Talisker.
Talisker is just peated Old Pultney.
Oh, don't tell anybody that this stuff's any good.
There's like a wine gum note that's sneaking in on the nose now too, that I've had a couple tastes of the palate. Wow. Russell, you're a madman. These are so fun and interesting.
I think he just look at the bottle and say, oh, that look amazing, because he don't taste them before us, So yes, he's a madman or A
savant.
prophet? I don't know. It's just to say.
Yeah, he's pure talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, just raw talent over here.
You smell good stuff.
Did anyone put any water in this one?
No, not yet.
I hesitate to do it because it's so good.
Yeah,
I feel like
that's what I was going to say. I'm not sure I'm going to, but
I did it already. It's too late, so I'll be the guinea pig. It kind of, there's a cotton candy vibe now to the nose. It brought more of the oak spices out too.
It's a bit more classic. It kind of loses that uniqueness it has to. It's not bad. It's very good, but I find without water, it's more unique.
Yeah, I don't like it with the water at all.
Yeah.
Actually,
but it's funny because from like when friends ask me, "Oh, I don't want to bother you every time I'm at ACQ or LCBO. So what should I be looking for when I buy a bottle of whiskey?" You're like, "Oh, 46% non-color, non-chill filter." Kind of. And this is the tasting that just like shuts this down. Everything like, oh yeah, it's 40%.
Yeah.
Like, and
absolutely
amazing.
I
You're
agree
right.
with you 1000%, Nick. This is like blow the doors off of your preconceptions because there are bangers.
Yeah. And we know better. We know better. We know like ABV is just a number and it's just one factor, but still most whiskeys you try to get 46% and like all these kind of picks, but like this takes nothing. It's like extra good.
Aren't you curious at all if you have this bottle at 46 or 48% or the Glencadam we just or the Miltonduff, just 4 or 5% over what we've tasted? What would those bottles have taste? It was so amazing at 43%.
For
What
sure.
could
you always
it
wonder.
be at 46, 48, 50%, and add water to it to bring it down to 40, 43. I don't know.
It may have been over. I mean, that's the like quintessential question, Would it have been overwhelming at cask strength or batch strength or?
You can add water to a bottle. You cannot get it back
Right, yeah.
to an higher IBU,
I will tell you, I'm taking 2 steps back on my initial reaction to putting water in it because it made it very astringent initially, but as it's gotten some air, there's a citrus quality that I didn't recognize initially that is definitely there now. And it's still
it's not bad. It doesn't make it a bad whiskey. It's just I think it was so unique at first.
Yep.
I don't know.
It's just one that I if I scored a bottle of this, I wouldn't put water in it going forward.
Yeah.
All right, so Russell warned us all this next one is not good, so we might as well just get through it. I know nobody wants to try a secret Speyside from 1967 that spent a long ass time in a port cask, but this is what we do for science. So
everybody put on those belt buckles.
I immediately get like vibes back to that Miltonduff. I don't know about anybody else.
I totally hear you there.
So that's a good time to say between the 6 we just tasted, before we taste the Russell one, I'll say, which one was your best? Because we got a few pretty good samples we just tasted.
GP, I'm not drunk enough to answer that question.
Ah, come on.
Eh,
Why
I'm gonna
not?
bet-
I
I'm
should
gonna-
probably clarify that I only actually tried one, so I might have been selling this one a little higher than maybe I should have.
Look,
Set the bar low.
Russell's suddenly getting a little sheepish here.
That's right.
No, I think you're right on brand here, Russell. There's a depth to this one. We're in the deep end now, everybody.
Put on your water wings, boys.
Yep. Swimmies inflated.
It's about to go down.
Yeah, for me, it's not good. It's kind of a mix of Glenfarclas and Amrut.
Nick, what the hell?
You didn't wash your Glencairns again, did you?
Oh man. Get them.
Oh, there's some guano in there.
That's another cask enhancement that hasn't been done before. The
Yeah,
guano.
forget Paxarette. Oh, there's some fine notes of batshit in there.
Anyone else feel like this kind of isn't really a Gordon Macphail?
I'm shocked at this one.
Like, I'm shocked that they put this out.
Yeah.
At the nose, in a blind tasting, I will say it's a Cavalan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear that.
By
And
the way,
26
this the
years-
distillate I believe is Glenlivet here.
26 years.
Hmm.
There is no foot on. This is all gas, no brakes.
Yeah, you see, I was really hyping myself, but
Yeah, same here.
it's not the best from the lineup for me. Not
Same
at
here.
all.
I was having a big hype on that, and now
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Maxime Saint-Germain.
Yeah. Drain.
Well, did you taste it, or is it only on the nose?
No, I tasted it. It's
Okay.
good. It's really good, but I was starting to get hyped. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, Russell put the bar very high. That's it.
There's like a birch barky kind of quality mid palate that I didn't expect.
It's a little bit like root beer that like went flat in the sun.
Totally.
I think that Old Pultney is kind of doing a lot of overshadow over that one due to
I
the fact
agree
that
with
we're
you.
stepping from it to kind of.
Sarsaparilla. That's what this is.
There's a
It's old timey sarsaparilla.
6-gun sarsaparilla.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like, you should be drinking this with a stick of deep fried butter at like a festival somewhere in the Midwest.
Wisconsin.
It'd be the perfect pairing for that.
I totally hear that and a half. Yeah, it's like deep fried Mars bar.
Has anyone ever had deep fried butter, by the way?
No, but in Scotland they may have done it too.
Yeah, I was going to say I've had the deep fried Mars bars in Scotland, and I don't know that I would ever go back for a second experience.
No, that's a one and done.
I'd be curious to try it. There's a restaurant in Quebec City that has a dessert that is Kit Kat that are deep fried, and honestly, it's surprisingly good.
I think what I found is like the first bite is fine, and then as you get through it, you're just like, I regret my life choices.
Yeah, there might be a bit of that too.
There's like it's just like so much sweetness and butteriness. Like you need to split it with 4 or 5 people.
This whiskey grows on me though. Every sip, I like
Yeah?
it a little bit more.
I'm not put off by it.
I find often the Cavalan and Amrut is like that too. Like the first sip you have, you're like, oh my gosh, it's like so thick. It's so in my face. And then like at the halfway point of the bottle, you're like, oh, it's kind of like a hug.
Well, I found the nose was pretty shy, pretty closed off, neat. Drop of water really, really opens the nose up. I haven't tried the palate yet, but the nose gets incredibly fruity, like deep, dark plums and dates and prunes, lots of sweetness. Like that really brings out the wine part of the cask.
I think I'm a port head for sure, and to me, this is almost at the over oaking situation. But with the water, you are right, Mike.
Definitely livens things up a little.
It totally does.
Yeah, but you see,
wakes the whiskey up.
I don't see what a port brings to this one.
It's not overwhelming. Like it's a subtler influence than some of the port stuff we've had.
For sure.
More than likely, these were casks that, for whatever reason, they didn't feel like were performing, and were probably racked into port just as a way to at least do something with them.
Got it. I mean, it's not off-putting. It's
I
just
like it.
I
I like it a lot
like that
better with some water. It brings out the fruit. There's some nice nuttiness to it. I get like graham crackers, and with that sweetness, it's almost like if you made s'mores with really dark chocolate.
I hear that. You know that is it Nature Made or Nature's Own? Those granola, that super like hard granola.
That's the first of
One that
the
chips
night,
your
I would
dentures.
say I would like to taste.
Exactly. Yeah. Like
At 46, I think it, at 46%, I think it will bring much more than when we get.
even with water, I feel like it's even more punchy. Like water gave it.
Yeah.
And the finish is going and going and going and going.
No,
Yeah,
it's not bad at all.
No. But you put water in it, but I think at 40%, I didn't put water in it. It's still pretty soft.
For me, the whiskey was asleep until I put a drop of water in it, and that woke the whiskey up. It was a completely different experience.
Okay, then
Yeah,
I'll try.
Aggressively changed it from my perspective. It was like a tame animal, and now it's like an animal that has been caged and tased.
Now it's like snowboard salespeople going out to sing karaoke after a sales meeting.
Exactly. Who have been drinking the entire day from pretty much the moment that you wake. I'll give you that. That's a good comparison, Mike.
Adding water makes this seem like cognac or Armagnac.
Even like I just put a bit of water in to clear the glass out, and it is still so vibrant. That's a weird one. I like it. Not my favorite, but I still liked it.
Yeah, that one was a bit of a dark horse there.
It's Russell's fault.
Yeah.
No sulfur though, so there's no sulfur from the sulfur plant.
Tim, I actually got my video off because I'm actually crying right now.
Good. You need to toughen up a bit.
Yeah,
I need to.
You know what?
Yeah.
Let it out, Russell. Let it out, buddy.
I'm in a safe space, right?
You're in the nest, okay?
Thanks, guys.
Well, you know, a teardrop would really be nice in that Old Pultney, I bet.
A little
Hey, I dare you to put a bit of Ardbeg in your Old Pultney. And say now it's good.
Oh my gosh. That's
Now it really does taste like Talisker. It's great.
yeah.
You know the secret to any whiskey, if you don't love it, you just go and get whatever latest Ardbeg special release you bought, and you add 1 ounce to the bottle.
That is a good use for Ardbeg special
Fill it
releases.
right back up to the neck.
Teaspoon it in.
Yep.
I mean, you can't actually drink them.
I love that Colin popped in for that little shot and immediately needed it afterwards.
To be fair, I actually did like the Bizarre-barbecue recently. That was the first one I'd actually liked in a while.
Oh yeah. Did you?
Yeah, I've heard Bizarre was pretty good. Actually, I haven't tried it yet, but I'd like to.
Well, when you make your way over here, it's available.
All right, that'll be worth the trip to Waterloo.
Did anybody have the anthology, the Sauterne?
I bought it.
Okay. I'm interested about that. I know Mike's interested about that too.
I'm interested in anything in a Sauternes cask, so
You and I both like just.
I had heard it was kind of light influence.
Really?
Yeah, I heard it wasn't very Sauterne-y.
Oh no, that's sad.
It's not bad, but if you can get 2 Bizarre barbecues for the price of 1 anthology, it's a no-brainer. Take the 2 barbecues.
Okay, good to know. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Worst
the
comes
last
to worst,
smoke
we can always
trail
sell it
was
to our
not
friends
bad
in
too.
Quebec for 6 times retail.
Hey, it's crazy, eh? Like
I don't know what it is with you guys and Ardbeg. It's crazy.
it's worse than Springbank.
You should take Je me souviens off your license plate and just put Ardbeg.
Yeah, if we could have those bottles, we wouldn't try to get them at the double, triple the price, you know? This is the big problem.
He has a point there.
If only the SAQ would play ball.
Hey, it's getting better. It's actually ahead of LCBO now.
That bar is
Not for everything.
Ultra low.
No, but you know what? It's crazy because we get a decent amount of very good Kilcolman and Glenallachie single casks.
Yeah, you do.
Bottle for Quebec, and the rest just goes to lottery. And people keep complaining. Yeah, I missed lottery. I didn't get my 5 Blentons, but those Glenallachie single casks just sit on shelves for like fucking weeks.
Yeah,
The
I
reason
went
we
to
don't
the,
get Glenallachie
to the
single
SAQ.
casks here in Alberta is because they all go to Quebec.
Yeah.
Ooh,
You guys get funny.
that's a Canada burn right there. That's a 3rd degree.
Also, maybe a question for James while we're shitting on the LCBO. I feel like they had a G&M release. I want to say Dalmore like within the last year. Is that like a sign that the LCBO might actually get some products that aren't useless, or was that kind of like a one-off for some reason?
That was a one-off.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm not directly connected with the Ontario portion, but just to give you an idea of what we had to do to get that cask in there. We had to pull 3 750 ml samples from the cask to submit to the LCBO for their like chemical analysis. Like, it's just absurd.
750 mil samples?
Yep. And like, so we had to pull those out of the cask and send them to Ontario.
That is out of control.
That's
And
how
actually,
they steal full bottles from you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically.
And the entire process basically took 18 months. Like, it was insane.
It took the guys at head office that long to drain those 750 mil bottles they stole from you?
No, they don't want the Russell.
Gosh. No, to be honest, probably most of it got dumped down the drain, most likely.
Oh my God.
And I know Russell put favoritism for a Glenallachie cask going to Quebec, but actually, ironically, the truth is kind of the opposite. So if you think about like the early days of Glenallachie in Alberta, like it kind of just sat on shelves. We actually had a tough time selling it. People, we would tell people like, oh, it's the new Glendronach, and people were like, you're an idiot. Like, we don't want it. So now that's not true in Quebec. In Quebec, the second it hit the shelf, it was doing good almost immediately. So in the early days, when the first 21 came out and the first 30 came out, and single cask came for sale, Quebec just like immediately started rolling with it, and we were late to the party in the West.
Yeah, you know why it does good, eh? We went from having lots of Glendronach and stuff to having the choice between Glenallachie and Johnny Walker Red. Like, we lost everything. Like, there was a period in ACQ you could get nothing. Like, not literally nothing except Johnny Walker Red, black, green, blue. Even the green was not available. Like, nothing. And that's why I'm saying, like, it's doing better. It's not doing better as of like 10, 15 years ago, but it's doing better as of like 3 to 5 years ago where we just like landed nothing.
Well, Quebec is selling twice as much Glenallachie as BC and Alberta combined.
There's another factor in there too.
That answers the question, though. That's why when we purchase in Quebec those single casks from 89s, they drop the boxes in the garbage and in the trash bin, and they don't give us the box. They just give us the bottle at the sack. So I got 4 of them without box, and the sack said, "You know what? We don't have the bottles. Sorry for you. Bye."
Wow. Yeah, we actually got offered 4 or 5 single casks from like 89 and 90 sherry casks. We could have taken the whole things, and they would have been probably about $6.50 on the shelf. And I just couldn't justify ordering them because Glenallachie sales, we were actually like, after 2 years, we were talking about divesting the brand because it wasn't selling. And in Quebec, it was taking off.
Yeah, but you know why? Because in Quebec, we have Eric Van Hove that has Passion Whiskey Quebec that did a lot for Glenallachie to come. He did a big purchase before they entered in the ACQ, the single cask. So they saw that people, because they have to import by the ACQ those bottles, so they saw the amount he was able to sell, and there was a few bottles at 600, 700, 800. So they say, oh, he's able to have 30, 50, 100, 200 person for those kind of bottles. So why couldn't we do it? And
yeah,
that was
honestly, if you had one bottle to send to someone of Glenallachie, I think it would be to Eric Van Hove. Like, this guy put Glenallachie on the map in Quebec. It's crazy.
Yeah. And ACQ saw this because they all saw what was coming through and was coming in.
Yeah.
So after this, they said, oh, and the connection was already done between the agent, l'agent, I don't know if it's the same word in English, but
importer.
The importer. So the line was already drawn by Eric. So they just do, we'll bring those now. You don't need to do your private importation. Yeah.
Well, GP, you know what's the worst? Like, people ordered, and because Eric doesn't have the cash flow to pay for everyone else and then sell the bottles, so everyone needs to pay and then wait. And it took over 18 months to get the bottles, but they were in Quebec for like 8 months, but the ACQ wanted to keep them. And Eric was like, yeah, but like my customers already paid the bottles, so you cannot keep them and resell them. It's like, yeah, but it seems like you're doing too good. We want to sell them. It's like, yeah, but they're already sold. So he kind of lost Glenallachie because of that. But it's crazy. Like, they held off the bottles.
He had to fight because they wanted to put them on the shelf instead of giving them to the people that have already paid for.
And this is during this is during that kind of length of time where the bottles were sitting back there, that all the boxes of the great single cask disappeared for some reason.
Yeah, it's out of this world. Like this whole saga, like some people that didn't know Eric and the whole process were kind of very frustrated and kind of shit on him because they're like, oh, I paid 18 months ago and I still don't have my bottle. It was like, man, ACQ has them. It's
Yeah, no, I get you. I was kind of a little bit off my shoes because I had the 4 bottles of 1989, and Eric told me when he came to my shop, "I sorry, we don't have the boxes." I said, "You know what? What can I do? It's not your fault. I mean, there's somebody in between that decided to mess up with that whole order, and that kind of we have no recours, we have no resort towards the sack." I even called customer service and escalated that upper, and they basically said almost the same as Elon Musk said yesterday in a whole press conference. Sack on the phone said, "Fuck you."
very surprising.
Yeah.
Good old Quebecois customer service.
Yep. You gotta feed the monster, but the monster gives you crumble. And that's it.
And it'll bite you sometimes. Speaking of bites.
Yep.
Who wants to
We're
drink some
in for-
Ardbeg?
We're in for a bite right now.
The finisher.
I've been smelling this. Well, y'all been bitching about the SAQ.
Me and you both, Mike. I'm like,
That's
I
been
have
fun.
no idea what's happening here.
That's
I was
been
gonna say
fun,
I've
but
been
this is
drinking
better.
it as you've been bitching about the SAQ.
But this buttery biscuit of a peat monster.
Like,
This is-
compare this to the bog standard 10 that you can buy today, which is not bad. It's not a bad whiskey. I do like just regular old Ardbeg 10, but this is
This is next level 10 years. At 40%, the nose is like
That's awesome.
full uppercut.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. This is, I will not be washing this glass. I'm going to smell this tomorrow before.
I love the next morning peated glasses. Oh,
Oh my God.
But you know what? The nose is all Mike Tyson, but the palate is all Sugar Ray Leonard.
That's fine. That's OG Ardbeg too. Ardbeg
Yeah.
was never this like juggernaut that it is today. It was always like that light, like just finesse, you know. The nose is just phenomenal.
Oh, that palate, that initial attack is just all campfire ash.
Mm.
And then like brine,
Yeah.
smoked salmon, sherry, nuts. It's not really medicinal.
I don't get much of that like
I'm not getting that like iodine or mercurochrome.
I don't
no.
know.
No, it's almost like a pickled green bean.
You and your pickles.
Like it's smoky, it's peaty, but
Right.
it's not. It doesn't have that medicinal hospital vibe to it.
Not at all.
This actually reminds me of like much older Islas we've had, like when we did that Lefroy tasting with like the 25, the 27, the 28, the 32. This reminds me of a much, much more mature Isla than 10 years.
I'm with you on that. I wouldn't guess that this was sherry casks at all. Either.
Not at all.
To me, this is like a refill bourbon.
Mm.
Okay,
I don't
so
agree.
I've done half drams of all of these.
That's
This
fine.
Ardbeg's getting a full pour here. We're going
Oh,
empty.
Full pour. Watch out. Like I don't get much fruit on this.
I just get the ash. Yeah.
It's just
I do get
pure
some
peat.
fruit. I get some like grilled pineapple on the nose.
I hear
But
that.
you got brown sugar, burned ground sugar. You know, it's you
I was
don't
gonna
get
say,
this
like,
with
if you took like
biscuit.
Brown sugar.
like orange rind and laid it out on a charcoal grill.
Hmm.
It's
That
sweet,
phenomenal.
very sweet.
I feel like this is everything that current Ardbeg is missing.
Mm. Well said. Well said.
This is the quietest this tasting has been all night, by the way.
It's just hush goes the crowd.
There's not enough pickle in this one.
No, Colin, we're gonna need you to work on this one, buddy.
Like I said, I need the NWO branded cask, and I will get right on that.
We are ready for it. We are ready for it.
I think if we're gonna I feel like a rye would be the thing to do. I feel like you put scotch in a pickle cask, it's just not gonna.
It's not gonna hold up. Or it's got to be like a really young Ben Nevis, like something, or Tobermory,
something wacky,
something like crazy distillate, like punchy distillate is the only way it's going to over arc.
I agree.
There's a smoky kelp note to the nose now that I've had a couple tastes of it.
Yeah, you see, for me, it's like I'm underlying a pineapple on charcoal that's just dripping directly in my mouth. And I'm like, oh. I fucking gouge it in my eyes, my ears, everywhere.
Yeah, this one is really, really good. I would never think that this was, if I tasted this blind, I'd eat my hat before I said that it was 40%.
Mm,
Or 10 years old.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
a lot of these punch above their weight class.
What a stunner.
Yeah, this is what I want all of my old Isla to taste like.
Yeah.
Well, the good news
This
is
is a-
G&M, a lot of their Kalila they released actually has this vibe to it, and they've got lots.
Yeah, like I said, it's a late 60s G&M mini that I was gonna drink as my opener, a Kalila. I'm glad I saved it after having this. This is just like, I will hunt this.
So drop of water brings out loads of fruit on the palate.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn. I wish I left more.
One of my favorite moments working for G&M has been someone asked me to ask the question of who has more old Port Ellen and Brora casks, Gordon Macphail or Diageo. And I remember Richard and his brother looked at each other like they were considering what to answer, as if like it's possible that it's them.
Wow.
I think they still have some old Ardbeg casks kicking around too.
Oh my
But
God.
there's just no rush to release those.
Yeah, why?
Well, this is the other thing they've learned too is that, if Ardbeg is still as popular now, 20 years from now, they can sell those casks back to them for like millions of pounds.
For
Yeah.
sure.
But you can just send me 750 ml samples for chemical analysis. Anytime. I'm happy to help.
I'll be the drain, Myke. No problem. Just bring.
Mm. So speaking of those Kalilas, the recent connoisseur's choice, and I know we don't talk about Kalila, but yeah, I think it was the 23-year-old Connoisseur's Choice from
The
last year.
1997.
Unreal.
Mhm.
Like just absolutely insane whiskey.
Yeah, we bought a I got to pick a cask of 18-year-old Kalila. It's coming to Canada in the spring, and it's from First Fill Sherry Butt,
Oh,
and it's 18 years old, and I just absolutely adored it. It's definitely surprisingly distillate driven for 18-year-old First Fill Sherry, but I just like screamed. I don't know. I tasted it. I was like, I know so many people in Canada that will want this. So
I I don't know what happened. Like I went from Kalila's okay to opening up my cabinet going, why do I have 8 bottles of Kalila? Like how did
I
that
know.
happen?
I was thinking too, like, we just did the release here in BC, and people are lining up and spending $450 for Ardbeg 19, which is great. And I'm like, I have this cask of Kalila coming in that's going to be half the price of that.
And miles better.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not miles, but it's cask strength, and I don't know. Yeah, I think that's a sweet spot still for sure in the market.
So just for me to be sure, we won't have this at the ACQ.
Well, the funny thing is usually when I pick casks, I put Canada exclusive on the label just in case.
Just in case, yeah.
Because I know, like, they show up in the Maritimes. We sometimes get orders from stores in Saskatchewan. So, yeah, we sell more Gordon Macphail in Canada than all the U.S. combined.
Wow.
It's up to you guys, man. You guys are, we've got good whiskey people in Canada.
Well, you pick good casks, so people are there to buy them, This
Thank
is
you.
what independent bottlers do. They pick cask, and most of the time they are amazing.
Yeah.
And they are out of the core range of the distillery, so that brings more to the people that knows whiskey or like whiskey or try to identify something else from the distillery, or I don't know how to say it, but this is for me what independent bottlers are. They found a specific cask that will bring something else. Woof, like we just taste tonight.
Yeah, a few years ago, I asked Gordon Macphail, what's the very best cask you have in all your warehouses? And it was a 1998 Tormore, and they bottled it for Ricardo.
That's a great bottle.
There you go.
That bottle was an absolute banger.
I found it's still for sale in Saskatchewan Co-op, but it's like $350 there, unfortunately. Maybe it's still worth that, but
James, is that a true story, or are you just fucking with me?
no, the co-ops, the co-op locations in Saskatoon, there's still probably like 12 to 15 bottles kicking around.
No, not about the bottles, about you asking that question and him actually responding with that.
Gentleman never tells, Ricardo.
You're fucking with me. I knew it.
I'm chucking it in. I figured might as well.
There you go.
So,
I was gonna say we got one going here because we've already finished off the Ardbeg.
yeah. This is 81 Kalila at 40% Connoisseur's Choice. Bottle pop.
Hey, you didn't break the cork. Nice work.
Screw tops for life, baby. They're unrustleable.
Are we already at the aftertaste?
I mean, I am. I don't know. I mean, I feel like there wasn't a slouch in that entire tasting.
No, they were great. That was one of the better tastings for sure.
Oh my gosh!
I
Russell,
mean,
if there's still kits left.
Oh, James has got some kids to put to bed, so just from all of us here from NWO, thank you, James. We appreciate
you, James.
you joining us tonight. We appreciate the bottles that you helped us with tonight. Some great drams tonight. Thank you very much.
Incredible. Thank you, James.
Yep. Hey,
Thanks, James.
Yeah, happy to join you guys. I wish I could join you guys more.
yeah. Hey,
Thanks,
thanks for
man.
your time.
Thank you,
Thanks
sir.
a
Have a
lot.
great night, buddy.
You're always
Thanks,
welcome.
Sam.
So what's been everyone's favorite?
I guess we'll have to get to work on a G&M cask for NWO.
150%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm. I
We'll
think
just get the cask samples and put those out on the shelves.
There you go.
yeah.
Just keep getting cask samples.
The 750s.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna steal the
All
mic.
right. Well,
But just-
I'm gonna wrap up the video here, everybody, because we're 2 hours and 12 minutes in or so. So thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. This, of course, has been The Dark Side of the Dram, Volume 2, featuring our daily bangers from various bottlings from Gordon Macphail. Thank you to James Bornn for joining us tonight. Thank you for Russell for putting all of these crazy bottles together. And we wish you all a good night.
Cheers.
So professional, like Mike.